With this video, let's begin the section of our course discussing SEO, specifically SEO for generating sales.
This video is brought to you by EpiPies Academy.
And if you're selling anything, I mean a huge broad range of services or products, affiliate, non-affiliate, anything, SEO is a tremendous part of the conversation, and typically some of the most effective strategies do have to do with SEO. Now, SEO can be very complex, and many entrepreneurs have an initial tendency to try to outsource it, but generally they just outsource it to low-quality freelancers that don't get them anywhere, or entrepreneurs try a little bit of SEO on their own and don't get very far because SEO is a mid to long-term strategy and quit and get nothing from it. But what I'll do in this section is I'm going to try to break down SEO for you in a very simple way that I teach, that is going to make it absolutely clear. And I would even venture to say that you'll start to understand it in an intermediate level, not a beginner level. So let's take a look at it. I teach SEO by breaking it down to 3 distinct phases. I'll cover them in this video, and then we'll get deeper into next videos. But one thing before we start, I do want to bring your attention to people think that SEO is mostly Google, and it is. Google is the biggest search engine in the English-speaking web. But if we talk about what other search engines are there, most people will say Bing or Yahoo, and I will say no, those are largely irrelevant for most situations. The second biggest search engine in the English-speaking web is actually YouTube. Yes, YouTube. A lot of videos get discovered by search. So that should open up our perspective in that there's a lot of search engines. Some of them might not apply to your situation. If you don't like making videos, YouTube's not for you. If you don't have to use other search engines, but you must be aware of them. So if you think about it, what's Amazon? Amazon is a big search engine, right? People search for products. What are the freelancing sites? Obviously, you're not going to be doing much commerce there for products, but people find what they need there by search. So search engines are everywhere. They're just not called that way. So before we got into the SEO conversation, I wanted to expand your mind about in thinking about what are actual relevant search engines. And on all of them, the fundamentals are very, very similar. There's of course some differences, but their fundamentals are similar. So let's talk about these 3 phases of SEO in a way that is really easy to understand. The first phase is always keyword research. If you find keywords that are wrong, the rest of your SEO efforts will be wasted. Why? Because if you think that your clients search for certain keywords that leads to them buying, but maybe they don't buy, or maybe the keywords are too competitive to rank for, or for whatever reason you get no traffic or little traffic or no buying traffic, then the whole SEO process will be a waste. So the keyword research is really important. We're going to go over that. And then after you do your keyword research, then you have to place those keywords correctly on your site and create a content strategy. So if you're doing business on YouTube, then of course you have to plan out which videos will target which keywords. If you're on your site ranking in Google SEO, then you have to plan out which keywords are going to get targeted by which pages, and so on and so on. So the first step and the second step, you actually can do this relatively quickly within one day, let's say. It's not out of the question. What takes SEO a long time, what makes this a long-term strategy, is the third phase. Because wherever you are, let's say if you make a web page trying to rank for some keyword, or if you're trying to make a YouTube video trying to rank for some keyword, well, it might take a long time to rank, because on day one, when you launch that piece of content, you're probably ranking like number 100 or 1000, depending on how competitive that niche is. And so your job is to make it, if you're number 100, next day you should be 99, 98, until you get to the top 10 and top 5 and so on, top 1. That's the process that is going to take a long time. But if you do your first 2 steps correctly, you actually will decrease your path to ranking higher quite a bit. So now that you understand SEO at 1,000-foot level, it's just these 3 phases, and it doesn't have to be just Google. It can be other large sites where search is prevalent. That's the correct high-level understanding of SEO. And so in the next video, we're going to begin digging into all this.